Alrighty, guys, as I'm sure you are aware, the last video had a fair share of issues. I am here today for a Beyond the Wall, but it's a bit of a different one. It's also kind of an outro to the last episode. I was editing the last video and I got to the point where I was just like, there is no point in me filming an outro. This ending is so botched. Oh, hello, Friday. This ending is so botched, it makes no sense to me to like add anything to that video. It was already a nightmare enough, so I thought, hey, look, let's do a Beyond the Wall / outro to sign that video off. So here we are. I asked for some questions on YouTube. I've kind of put in the Discord, guys. Just saying, the Discord is there if anyone wants to contribute to these in the future. Let's start. I'm going to start with this one because it's the least related to 9x6, but this is a question I get very frequently and there is plenty of debate about in all the forums and stuff like that, and that is what I'm going to do once I finish The Walking Dead. What's next after season 11 or 12 or whatever it is of The Walking Dead. Now, there's some debate. Some people think fair The Walking Dead, some people think just keep it Walking Dead focused. There's all these new spin-off shows. Some people think I should just jump over to something completely different, I don't know, like Breaking Bad or whatnot, right? There's a whole bunch of debate now. If I'm honest with you, I haven't done much thinking into the exact next step after The Walking Dead. I'm so engrossed in The Walking Dead right now, I can't imagine stepping across from it. What I can tell you is that once I finish Telltale, I plan on doing 2 shows on the channel. Even probably before I finish The Walking Dead, I'm intending to bring another show in to sort of bring a transition. Now, the show that I start before the end of The Walking Dead won't be The Walking Dead related, I can tell you that much. It'll probably... I want to do a crime drama, really badly. As you guys... I don't know if many of you guys are here from day one, but I started with football, Attack on Titan, and Broadchurch. Those were the OG shows, right? Broadchurch was by far my favourite of the initials. So I want to do something similar. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's just something I'm like, if I can find a crime drama which is like 1, 2, 3 seasons long, short seasons, that's not going to take long to react to. It'll just be like adding something new, like when I did The Killing. That was fantastic. I love The Killing. So yeah, I have to be honest with you, I haven't done much thinking of it, but we've sort of been semi-planning, like once I get to a point where I do want to start considering something new, putting community posts out there, getting a whole bunch of suggestions, then doing voting polls and giving you guys the choice. So it's not, you know, I'm not just going to pick something. It's more like I want you guys to have a say, and I want there to be a voting system. And obviously there will be part of me which, like, say you guys recommend something that I just don't want to watch for whatever reason, I won't include it, right? It's at the end of the day, I'm gonna pick something that I want to watch, but I want it to be driven by you guys. Okay, so I think that all the rest of them are about 9x6. Oh yeah, one more thing before we start that, Telltale. I tried to record it the other day and PSN just had a pissy fit. It just refused to let me log in, so yeah. Awesome. Thoughts on seeing Eugene actually killing walkers and going outside the walls on missions, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you guys would have seen in my reaction, like, that was one of the first things which I was like, Eugene! Because, like, just seeing him going out and being able to do that, you see the development, right? Right, okay, my thoughts on Eugene were all over the place because I felt like my trust in him and my belief that he was doing something in the long run for us was waning, do you know what I mean? I felt like it was, my faith in him was disappearing. Then he did what he did, boom. You know, he sacrificed what he sacrificed in order to get close to Negan and then create an unrest, which ultimately he's the reason that didn't go sour, right? Let's be honest. Now, I think Eugene learned a lot about being with Negan, and I think he's probably come a long way, and he's probably, a lot of the softness in him has probably been burnt out by just the harshness of having to be independent. Like, he isn't just relying on Abraham or relying on the group, and he also now knows too that he needs to change in order to protect his family. I think that's one of the biggest arcs for him, right, is he wants to protect the people he cares about. He's evolving to the point where he's able to do that. I think it's bloody awesome. I mean, I always had faith that he would eventually sort of come out of his shell and, you know, just think about how Abraham would be so proud of him, I think. I think so, at least. I think he probably thinks about Abraham a lot too, and what Abraham would have done to protect the people he cares about, and he probably aspires to be like those around him. So yeah, I always knew he'd have one of the best arcs. Anyway, he's come a long bloody way. My reaction speaks for itself. How do I feel about the Judith and Negan dynamic and the fact that is happening, that's being allowed to happen? Not gonna lie, it caught me off guard a little bit, but it kind of aligns with one of my theories a little bit. So I used to theorize about Carl and how I imagined if he were here now, he would be the one sitting with Negan, talking to Negan. I'm not shocked that it's happening because Judith is like her brother, right? I'm a little bit surprised that it's being allowed to happen. Maybe they don't know, I don't know, but I think Negan's lost his purpose, right? I think the reason he was being Negan in that sort of descriptive way is because he had something, he had a reason, he had a purpose for doing what he was doing. So when you strip that all back, I think he lost control of himself a little bit, and then we're seeing more of what he wanted to be. We're seeing more of what he probably was like prior, and I think I actually deleted it. In one of my reactions, I edited out something I said, I think, because the reaction was really long, and I didn't know how necessary the comment was, but I said something like, I feel like Negan would make a fantastic father. I wish I didn't delete it now, but yeah, I don't know, like, I'm not against it. If anything, I'm glad that it's happening, because I had this weird vision, right, that say something was to happen to Alexandria, I had this really weird vision that Judith was going to let Negan out, and then Negan was going to save Judith. Like, say there was a swarm, right, they all started coming into Alexandria, something was going wrong, Judith lets Negan out because everyone else runs off, and she's like, no, we can't leave him there. She saves him, and then he protects her, and then, like, I don't know, like, this realization of, I don't know, like, thankfulness for him being there or something. I don't know. There's this weird, do you know what I mean? That was this vision I had. I don't know if this is answering the question at all. I have no issue with him talking to her. His purpose created a lot of what I hated. His purpose I didn't hate, but his purpose created what I hated. You strip all that back, I don't hate a lot about the guy. If anything, if eventually he's going to become a part of some community that we've built, I would want him to have relationships with at least some people. She's probably trying to understand him. Do you know what I mean? She probably feels a bit bad for him. I feel a bit bad for him because, like, when you look at what he did, if you really separate it as he had a purpose, think about the purpose is a good one, you really feel bad for him because you think to yourself, damn, so when he went into this with this purpose, if we started with him as a character in the show, would we like him? Do you know what I mean? So that's the thought process that I'm starting to go down, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people do too. But anyway, I don't really know how to answer that question. Do you think Negan the Savior died, or was he sort of put to sleep? Who else can he keep in touch with? Who else can talk to him? Do I think the Savior in him died? No. I think, just continuing on from what I was just saying, I think his purpose has been put to sleep. For me, like, hear me out. You know when Rick was going through his dark spot and he got put in a place where he could be Farmer Rick, and that side of everything sort of disappeared for a little bit? That's how I see this, right? Like, his purpose is still there. The need for Negan could still be there, but he's been removed from that situation. So he doesn't have a choice. He's not there to fulfill his purpose anymore. The pressure isn't really there. I don't think that he needs to be Negan in his current situation, because who's he being Negan for, right? The purpose is, it's mute. It's not there, so he has no reason to be that person. I would argue that it's more like he's hung up that outfit in his wardrobe, and say there comes a time when that's needed again, he will don that outfit again. If he, say, got out, or say if somehow we needed him, I think he could very easily put that back on. If I'm honest with you, as long as he is fighting for the same thing we are and in the same group we are, I wouldn't hate having someone with that kind of persona around, but I don't think I would be okay with some of the acts he would be willing to permit. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's complicated. How can we utilize that persona going forward? No idea. So, no, I don't think that it's dead. I think it's asleep. Who else can he keep in touch with, and who else can talk to him? That I have no idea. Is there anyone in our group that would visit him regularly? Lots of the people which I'd imagine would don't reside at Alexandria. I don't know. It's a hard one. Look, I don't see any immediate threat of someone, say, letting him out, if that's what you're meaning, but I don't know. He probably doesn't get to talk to many people. Do you think Rick might have gone too far? In his head quest to honor Carl and build the future he had wanted to, he forgot along the way that his future might not exist without him. He took that shot thinking he was going to die, but at the end of the day, it was just a bridge. A bridge can be rebuilt. Walker's disposed of, but his life cannot be given back. And now he's God knows where. Was that maybe even a bit selfish? Ooh, interesting. I don't view what he did as selfish. Look, I think there's a part of everyone that would welcome death. All those visuals we saw of him with past loved ones, and I think there's a part in everybody here that would welcome it. Everyone has lost people, and everyone is probably tired, and everyone probably wants to rest and just, you know, the weight that would be relieved. You know, like, it doesn't shock me that that's something he thought about, okay? And look, I see him burning the bridge as what it is, you know, like a desperate act to save the people he cares about. Yeah, it might only be temporary, but, you know, in the immediate, he's done the only thing he thinks he can do in order to protect what he was trying to build. Did he not think about the fact that this future might not exist without him? I see what you mean, I really do, but I think Rick would have had faith that everyone would have tried to do the right thing. Even if everyone wasn't at the same mindset or logical step as he was, I genuinely feel like he would have thought that eventually they would all arrive there. And I think he would have put enough faith in Michonne and pushing for that. But honestly, if I'm completely honest with you, I don't even think that Carl's vision in that exact moment was all he was thinking about. I think in that moment he was thinking about like what was there. And that's his family, and that's all he knew to protect in that moment. I think he did what he did there not because of a future he'd envisioned, but because he wanted to give his family the opportunity to follow that dream. If they didn't, that's up to them. I think he wanted to give them the opportunity, the choice, build a platform for a future that he might not get to be a part of, but he knew that everyone else would. Right? His mission has always been about the future for the people, but like after him. It's never been about Rick. Yeah, I don't really see it as selfish, but even if someone wanted to die in the apocalypse, I wouldn't view that as selfish. I don't know. It's really hard, that one. Also, part of me felt like Rick thought he was gonna die blowing up the bridge or not, because he was like seriously impaled. Do you think Michonne is being unfair with the new group, considering how Rick and company handled their first few weeks, days, etc. in Alexandria? Now, I'm not going to read everything you've said, but it's up on the screen anyway. I think she's being unfair, but I think she's probably learnt that that's one of the only ways to be safest, right? She's got so much pressure on her shoulders, as did Rick back when. She has the pressure that Rick had, so we're now seeing her develop the way Rick did with that weight on her shoulders. Hear me out on this, right? If another group showed up as skilled as we were, doing the same things we were back in day one in Alexandria, but their intentions were bad, would you want us coming in with that much freedom? Do you see what I mean? So I understand completely why Michonne's done what she's done, okay? For safety, for protection, for all of it. At the end of the day, it is about those that are inside before it is about those that are outside. We must protect what we have before we consider losing it, because every decision we make that carries any risk is threatening what we have built. I understand it. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I think you need people like Michonne to be real stern about it, to make people seriously question, should I say, what the decision means. I think she is almost like the message of that. Because frankly, if a random group of people that showed up that were like we did, Alexandria originally, if they were smart, they would not have let us in. Obviously, the risk, the gamble paid off because we ended up being who we are, right? A decent group. But what are the odds that every time that happens it's a decent group? It could have been anyone that showed up. I'm just glad that we have a council. Yeah, I think I've answered that question fair enough. And then the last one, which is the one I want to talk about regarding the episode, Walker's bloody talking. Now, originally, I thought maybe we're not supposed to hear that. Maybe it's just one of those cheeky things they put in. But that's too obvious and too blatant to not be one of those little cheeky bad lip reading things. A lot of things went through my head. People disguised as walkers, people experimenting on walkers, smarter walkers. The fact that the walkers were heading one way and then beelined back towards, like, it made no sense, right? None of it made no sense. Why'd they just shebang like that? Unless they're being herded. Maybe they're being herded. Maybe there's a mixture of, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to clear out the area. Maybe this is someone's attempt to, like I said, one of my theories a little while ago was maybe whoever Rick's gone, this group, they're trying to extinguish everything outward and keep everything within. So they're killing everyone outside and bringing a few in that will better the community. I don't know. So I don't know what that means, walkers talking. My first theory with these new people was they were like experimenting on walkers. It's a weird thought. If it's just the fact that walkers can now talk, I don't know how I'll like that, because I don't know, it's a bit random. It's got to be some kind of experimentation, or it's not a real walker. Maybe we've got scare actors walking around with walkers to try and herd them in certain directions. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up because my camera's gonna die, and this is reaching the 30-minute mark. This isn't supposed to be a long video anyway. I was gonna talk more about the episode we've just had, But I think I've spoken quite a bit about what happened. Like, it wasn't the beefiest episode. It was quite a long episode for what it was, at least in my eyes. But anyway, we got this done, which is the important part. Hopefully, next week we can do Telltale. Hopefully another Walking Dead episode. Hopefully more Beyond the Wall. If you don't follow the Discord, guys, 1000% go and follow that. That is definitely the most active place where I am. Also, don't forget to follow the Instagram, guys, for more personal updates. Dan Reed with 2 Ds. Yeah, and massive apologies for the ending of the last episode. Now I pray that this recording hasn't done the same thing. But anyway, that's all from me, guys. As ever, this is Dan. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.